Thank you, Peggy, and thank you for your leadership and guidance over this past year as board chair. I know this was not ideal in terms of taking it in the middle of a pandemic. We swore you in last May as we were just getting through the first wave. We're just getting through the third wave, and the leadership that you've shown in terms of that is greatly appreciated. So I just want to, on behalf of the staff and of the board of directors, a huge thank you to you for your leadership over the course of this past year, and to the board as well. And I'll talk a little bit about the pivot, but early on when the pandemic hit, there was a lot of concern, and there were, and it's not an understatement back in March of 2020 to figure out what the future of the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce was going to be and what the chamber network was going to look like. We were expecting at that point in time, and this was an honest discussion that we had around the board, the fact that we didn't know when we were going to be able to do in-person events again, and events make up close to 30% of the revenue for the organization, and what kind of an impact that was going to have on us. At the same time, businesses were struggling, businesses were closed. It was difficult for us as an organization to encourage and to be able to go out and try to get new members or to encourage their members to pay their membership dues. And these were decisions that we made because we knew it was the right thing to do. And at the same time, I'm going to talk a little bit about our pivot in a second, but I just want to, the support that the board has shown from the beginning in the different things and the different projects that, that we would typically bring forward, and the openness that the board had to the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce making that pivot because it was important to us. A huge, great discussions that we would have around that boardroom table, and it was unanimous support continuously. They would raise concerns, but at the end of the day, the board was committed to the long-term longevity of our organization and making sure that we were acting in the best interest of the entire business community throughout Manitoba. So a huge congratulations to all of our board members. I mentioned this morning that it's been 423 days, and I keep track of these kind of things. I keep track of how long we've been in code red. And I think we're at 192 days that we've been in code red situation. Because it's important that we continue to look at that, because it also speaks to the fact that I'm going to talk about the team at the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce, and we're a team of 9. When we started this back in March of 2010, we were a team of 7, and we've added 2 since that time. But at the same time, everything has changed. Staff have worked remotely. There are staff that I haven't seen in person in close to 7 months. As a team, of those 9 staff, we have not been in the same room on any more than one occasion over the course of those last 15 months. And it's really been key because they'll tell you as well, job descriptions have been kind of thrown out the window. In terms of what needs to kind of get done, the job descriptions, the duties, they change daily because we're trying to make sure that we're representing our members. I know that my staff are working weekends. I know that they're working evenings. I know that they're doing so because they recognize the importance of what we're doing, of really supporting business and supporting chambers throughout Manitoba, and that there's a value that they see in terms of what they're doing and what our organization represents. And I want to say a huge thank you to everyone on my team: Karen Viveros, Carolyn Jansen, Brett Hutton, Corey Werner, Munzreen Raza, Cheyenne Maddie, as well as our new staff people, Jessica Ferris and Matt Benger, because they've all stepped up and continued to do the job, and they make a difference every day. And I just want to let everyone know how much they're appreciated. And I know I maybe don't say it as much as I should, but I really appreciate everything that the team has done. And as we've taken on new things, and I know they say this all the time, every time I come back to the office or I get on a call with them, there's typically something new that we're bringing to the table. And I wouldn't do that if I didn't know that the team could handle it and that they were the right people to kind of lead these organizations and to lead these initiatives. So a huge thank you to everyone. So I want to talk a little bit about that pivot. And so it was a year ago that I kind of mentioned that, we had to determine, okay, we can't do events in terms of what we would typically do in the past was events where we would bring people together. There was networking opportunities. We would have key stakeholders. So we had to make that pivot. And the pivot for us was really about developing content. And is understanding what the needs of business were going to be and recognizing that what they really needed was they needed content development. And so what we've done over the course of this past year is we've refocused our website. We've created resources and tools for business. What we've done since the beginning is reviewing government programs. We've interpreted public health orders. Over the course of that time as well, one of the things that's been critical for us is that connection with the chamber network. And I talk about this as well. Early on in the pandemic, one of the things that was important was us reaching out to the local chambers, knowing that there are 70 chambers that have managers, and they're also having to respond to their local businesses. And we needed to be there as a resource for them. So early on, we were conducting calls twice weekly, where we would get on calls, invite all of the various chambers from throughout Manitoba to be able to ask questions, to share with them what we were doing on their behalf, what sort of advocacy that we were working on, initiatives that were important, and what kind of things that they needed, what were they hearing from their members as well. And so that was a big part of what really drove us, is we really recognized that business had a ton of questions. And we recognized that it was the chamber's role to help them find those answers. And so launching things like the Asked and Answered series, the MB Poly series, all of those things were extremely important in terms of allowing our members outside of the perimeter and chambers from throughout Manitoba to have access to some of those key decision makers. We've held webinars with individuals like the Premier, with Dr. Roussin, with public health officials, with ministers around at both the provincial and federal level, to let them hear directly and to be able to provide information to them about the importance of that. And so it's been important for us to make sure that we've continually been that strong voice of business. And if you stayed with us throughout the day, you'll understand that there are things that we've made sure that were important. And through those discussions that we were having, it became evident to us that there were issues that were important, whether it was the federal wage subsidy program, which early on, and someone will remember way back in March of 2020, when the federal government released that program, it was a 10% subsidy program. We recognized that wasn't going to work, and it was really through the work of the chamber network at a local, at a provincial, and a national level, along with other business organizations as well, that we got the federal government to recognize that that level needed to be significantly higher. And you will remember from the discussion that we had with Minister Jim Carr earlier, they were adapted to that, made the change, and have increased that to 75%. And for a lot of businesses, that has been a key component for them. We were also the advocacy work on things like the Manitoba or the federal rent subsidy program was also critical, making sure that the programs that were being developed were going to fit the needs of what businesses was looking for. Other things that we've been evident and that we've worked hard on over the course of this past year is the Manitoba Bridge Grant. You'll remember that back in October, when we were heading into that second wave and it looked like government was going to be shutting down business again, we were adamant that there needed to be supports from government to those businesses, because we've known throughout this pandemic, businesses have been ahead of public health in regards to the measures that they've taken to make sure that their employees are safe, that their customers are safe, and that they're operating in a safe manner. And it was important to us for them to understand that business shouldn't be punished as a result of that. And so the government has put in place the Bridge Grant program, and to date, there's been 4 tranches of that, and it's been able to help businesses with close to $20,000. And so that's been a key part of some of the work that we've done and continue to push government on that. Other things that we're in continual discussions with government are in regards to the public health measures that have happened. And it's been important to make sure that the business community has a voice. And it's been challenging, there's no question about that, because we've always taken the approach that we were never going to sacrifice public health over the economy, and there needed to be that balance. And we've always wanted to make sure that government is aware that decisions that they were making have impacts. And there's a realization in terms of the impact that it was going to have on business. And so making sure that they understand that they're sharing good information and making informed decisions when they're making these public health measures and the impact it's going to have on business. And those are things that we continually do and will continue to do on behalf of our members. As I mentioned, the weekly calls, we've done webinars with various government ministers, Minister Eichler and the Deputy Minister Tracy McConaughey. I talk to on almost a weekly basis to make sure that they're aware of some of those issues for business. And I continually ask the chamber members as well, let us know what the challenges are, and we'll make sure that there's a voice for those and those issues are being addressed. Throughout this as well, we've wanted to make sure that the supports for business were there. And it was mentioned as well, and Peggy touched on this as well. And we went into areas that we may have never gone into. And so early on in the pandemic, there was a need for supports for childcare. And so us, along with the Winnipeg Chamber of Commerce, entered into a partnership with the provincial government to help provide greater opportunities for childcare expansion programs without Manitoba. And I'm proud to say that we were able to provide childcare spots and work with new childcare providers to provide them with some business advice as well in terms of how to run facilities. And that's been a program that we've created close to hundreds of different childcare spots that were at a very vital time throughout the business community. It was something early on, It seemed like a little bit odd when I went to the board and we talked about this, but we really recognized the importance of childcare to the Manitoba economy in terms of us being able to move forward. And it's something I'm proud that we were involved with. We also got involved with B2B Manitoba, which was really providing opportunities. We could just roll back one back there, Corey. If B2B Manitoba, just in regards to different programs that were available for businesses that were looking for PPE. We recognized that was a huge challenge. And what we did with that program was being able to match up businesses that had accessible PPE with businesses that were looking for it. And that's another program that worked well for us. The Support Local program was something that we got involved with back in December, which was looking at programs at the same time when we were in code red and people were being advised to stay home, which provided potential dollars for businesses to be able to do things online. And we are proud to be a part of that program with a number of other organizations. And that helped to get close to $5 million into the hands of small businesses as well that were able to transition some of their businesses to an online portal. The one other one that we got involved with that I think has had the biggest impact is the Dine-In Restaurant Relief Program. Back in December, we recognized this was a huge challenge for a lot of restaurants in Manitoba that had been moved to a code red, that there was no opportunity for people to go into restaurants and having to move to a delivery-only model. And so what we proposed to the provincial government was, let's provide a program that looks after all of the costs that it costs for delivery in Manitoba. So we worked with the Restaurant Association of Manitoba and put in place a program that I'm proud to say that we were able to get. It was announced on December 22nd. 3 days before Christmas, Premier Pallister announced that they were providing the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce with $5 million to launch this program. I can tell you that we were able to get that program up, operational, and start accepting applications by January the 6th. So over the Christmas holidays, we worked to make sure that this program was going to be there for the restaurant owners throughout Manitoba. And to date, I'm proud to say that we've been able to put more than $5 million back into the pockets of restaurant owners throughout Manitoba. And we've just been provided an additional $2 million earlier this week. So we've got a total of $9 million. So we'll continue to put money back into the pockets of restaurant owners in the hospitality industry throughout Manitoba. The other thing that we've really worked on as well is another new initiative, and this was touched upon, which is Business Matters. One of the things that we recognize is the importance of being able to provide our members with information that they need. We recognize that businesses don't want to spend their days on government websites trying to find out where the various programs that they might be able to access are at both a provincial and a federal level. As well, we wanted to provide greater information about some of the supports that they need. And so we launched Business Matters through some funding through WD, which was talked about earlier, to really provide that. So what we've done with that is we've done two things. And this is an initiative we launched last month. And really, I'll give kudos to Carolyn Jansen, who was really the quarterback on this project for the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce. We've got an online portal at businessmatters.ca where people can go and businesses can go to get that information that will make a difference for them in terms of what they need kind of going forward. And I think that's extremely important that we've provided that value for you. And so these are some of the things that we've been working on over the course of this past year to continue to provide that value to the Chamber network and to businesses throughout Manitoba, whether you're a member or not a member at all. So what's next for MCC? And so here's where we kind of continue to want to go forward. We're going to continue to focus on COVID recovery elements. A lot of our members will know some of the things that I've been pushing for right now in terms of that are going to be key for the Manitoba Chambers of Commerce as we continue to move forward. And what's important to us is providing us with that pathway forward in terms of what success looks for. So there's 4 key elements that I've been continually talking about that are important to Manitoba. Vaccination, vaccination, vaccination. We're strongly encouraging all Manitobans to get vaccinated. We've challenged government. By the time we get through this latest public health measure on May 30th, we want to see 70% of 18 plus Manitobans vaccinated at this point in time. We're under 50% at this point in time. That needs to be significantly increased. We need to make sure that there are supports for business continue to be there. There are other industries that we're continuing to work with to make sure that we've got sector-specific support, and that's going to be something that we work on as well. Third, enforcement. We know that it's important that those people that necessarily aren't following the rules, there does need to be consequences to that because it's extremely important that business has been following the rules. It's important if we get through this, and if it be for a short time, that we continue to have enforcement in place. And finally, we need a path forward. We need a better understanding in terms of what it looks like once those vaccinations happen. What does reopening look like? And we provided that advice to government for the last number of months. We've seen suggestions as well in regards to what Saskatchewan has done in regarding a roadmap to recovery. And we think that needs to be done here in Manitoba. And we think that the Premier has announced that earlier this week, and we've heard from the Minister of Economic Development and Jobs, Ralph Eichler, that this is also going to be a priority. We're hoping to have that done within the next week. Other programs that we're continuing to work on, you'll hear more details from us continuing to move forward as we're working on initiatives with the provincial government in terms of looking forward, skills training grants, making sure that those businesses that need to reskill or to upskill their employees, that there's going to be programs and dollars in place for them to be able to do that. So look for other initiatives coming from us on that. Digital transformation is also going to be critical. We recognize as well the importance of having an online presence. Online commerce is going to be something that's also going to be critical for businesses moving forward. We're going to continue to work to provide additional dollars and work on programs that will help businesses as they continue to move forward. And finally, expanding the Support Local program. We've heard throughout the day about the importance of that local campaign and doing things for supporting local. We've been able to access additional dollars from both the provincial government and the federal government. You'll be seeing a lot more coming out from us to help support local chambers of commerce and other organizations as they do support local campaigns and as we continue to move forward in our recovery efforts. Other programs we're working on a tourism incentive program with Travel Manitoba. Look for details on that when it's the right time to launch that program. And another initiative that I'm really excited about is Manitoba Pulse. And Manitoba Pulse is a brand new initiative in terms of that we've putting forward. And what Manitoba Pulse does is it's going to be an online vehicle for our members, a new business insight platform to gather relevant, current, and important information from partnering businesses, organizations, and local chambers. This will be done in cooperation with the Chamber Network, who will recruit businesses and organizations that will take part in receiving short 1 to 5 minute surveys. Those surveys will cover a wide range of topics and ideas and can quickly be turned into data that can be used to advocate on behalf of businesses, gauge opinion on government decisions and announcements, and provide empirically supported recommendations. The information gathered will be segmented into localized regions, industries, and other socioeconomic factors. So this is something that you'll be looking for. Details on this will be coming in the next couple of weeks, but something that we think will be an important aspect for the entire chamber network. And I put much more on the bottom because there's always more. There's always more that's going to be happening that we're going to tackle as the year goes forward, and I think that's important. So, in conclusion, I just kind of want to end. The mission of the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce is to champion sustainable economic growth, leading to greater prosperity for business and communities in Manitoba. The vision is to make Manitoba the best place to live and work. And I think that's always something that's going to be at the heart of the work that we do. It's always in the back of my mind in terms of as we're taking on different initiatives and some of the things that we're doing and advocating on businesses, those are things that are important to us. So in my mind, it's always important, and I always kind of end with this, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the local chamber network and what they've done and the challenges that they've gone through. And I really want everyone on the board to recognize, continue to support your local chamber, continue to support your local businesses. And those of you that may not be a member or wondering why you should be a member, I want you to watch this quick video that we created as well that provides you with the top 10 reasons to be involved with your local Chamber of Commerce.